So let's do a little reviewing for the lab practicum. Now, lab practicum, you're going to see some slides like this, and all you have to do is identify them. So we'll do some reviewing, and then also there'll be some like really basic questions about tissues that you should be able to figure them out. And it'll be timed. It'll take you 20 minutes. If you guys are really in lab, it only takes 10 minutes. It's pretty quick. So 20 minutes is more than enough time. Are you ready? So simple squamous. These are the pictures I'm going to use. I'm not going to pull some picture, off the internet, and you have no idea what in the world it is. So just review these, man, you'll be golden. So simple squamous epithelium. Remember, it looks like floor tiles. Looks like floor tiles. So as you look at this, let me get my little laser pointer going on here. There we go. All right, and you got the nucleus and cytoplasm and cell wall. So they look like floor tiles. Like floor tiles. Simple squamous epithelium. Then we have simple columnar. These are tall, skinny cells. See, this one down here, these are the tall, skinny cells along the edge here. Yep. These are found within your GI tract. It's a structure right here. It kind of goes up and around like a finger, and it's called a villus. You're going to find those in the intestinal wall. But if you zoom in on a little section, there they are right there. Nucleus, tall, skinny cells. So, simple columnar epithelium. Third one, simple cuboidal. And these are little cube-shaped cells. Yeah, little cube-shaped cells. You'll find these on the surface of your ovaries, for instance. So with the simples, what do you got for simples? You got three simples. Simple what? Squamous. Simple columnar. Simple cuboidal. Then we go to this one, pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Sounds like a mouthful, doesn't it? All right, well, what do you got on top? See this? Looks like shag carpeting. So that is the cilia. It's the cilia. You'll find these, for instance, in the tracheobronchial tree, in your upper airway. Also, here's the nuclei. Now, the thing is, guys, that you go ahead and if you push, just kind of push on these, they look all smushed together. So if I were to take simple columnar epithelium, put some hairs on the top, then I get on the very end of those columns of cells, all those cells, right? And I push them. And as they're smushed together, they look like they're layered, but they're not. Pseudo means false. So pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Then we have next epithelium. And this epithelium is stratified squamous epithelium. And with stratified squamous epithelium, well, you're going to find that in your skin. Find it in your skin. So I'll ask you just like some basic questions. If you go back over chapter 4, lecture, real basic questions with this. One you got identified, and I'll ask you a basic multiple choice question on these. With stratified squamous, well, stratified, whole bunch of layers. Remember, it's identified by the top tissue layer. Down here, these are little cuboidal cells. But what they do is they grow and they grow and they grow and they work their way up and they start to die off, to fill with keratin, and then boom, these are going to be sloughed off. So stratified squamous epithelium. What else you got with the epis? This epi is going to be transitional. This is also known as uro, U-R-O, uroepithelium. What do you got with this one? Well, you're going to find these, actually, you'll find them within in the urinary tract. And this little center area gets filled with urine, and what happens, this will kind of flatten out into a circle. Or, this is a cross-section of what's called a ureter. It's a tube that goes from your kidneys down to your bladder. And as this fills with urine, these flatten out and expand out. Transitional epithelium. All right, so what do you got for the epitheliums? Come on, name me the three simples. Come on. Looks like floor tile. Simple what? Squamous. What's the ones with the little boxes? Simple cuboidal. What's the other simple? Come on, tall, skinny ones. Simple columnar. Then what? You got the ones with the hairs. Come on, pseudo something. Come on. Pseudo stratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Good. Then what's the one that makes up your skin? What's the one that makes up your skin? Come on, stratified squamous. And then what's the one that's right in front of you? The transitional epithelium. There we go. Now, the epithelium are just a bunch of cells. Now we go to the connective tissues. Connective tissue, here we have areolar connective tissue. So areolar connective tissue, you find that way down the base of your skin to kind of hold your skin in place, you might say. So areolar connective tissue. With this one, so what you're seeing now with connective tissues, that you're seeing all these fibers in here, and all these different cells. See, that's a macrophage. You can see this thing right there is a fibroblast. They make the fibers. See these red fibers? Collagen. What they teach about collagen? Like a strong bungee cord, right? See these little fine hairs? Those are elastic connective tissue. So we got stuff in between. It's called matrix. Remember? Matrix, stuff in between. Whereas if you look at your epithelial tissues, what? They're all cells, aren't they? Cell next to cell, next to cell, next to cell. But here you got stuff in between the cells, in fibers. So the first one, areolar. Then we have adipose. So adipose, see, there's the nucleus. Nucleus is smooshed off to the side. And the cytoplasm is filled with lipids. It's called an adipocyte or adipose. Or fat, right? Then, this is a pretty easy one, blood. Here's your RBCs. Here's your WBCs. Your white cells, right, for fighting infection, for an immune response. See these little dark speckles? See? Those are your platelets. Those are the platelets. What else you got? Bone. And then bone, remember, this is called the central canal. It's called the Haversian canal. Here's the bone cells. See them? They're called osteocytes. See these little channels? Don't write this down. It's called canaliculi. As the students call it, can I lick your eye? But essentially what it is, it's a little channel that goes from that bone cell to that bone cell, and then this guy in the cheap seats. Hey, you want to pass me back a beer? Okay. So there's this guy sitting up towards the fireplace. Here's your beer. Okay, so we'll go this guy, to this guy, to this guy, to this guy, to this guy. Pass it back through those little channels. So that is bone. Then we have dense connective. Now, dense connective has other names as well. It's also known as tendon or white fibrous. This one has a whole bunch of collagen, so it's got to be real strong. See those little black little speckles? That's a fibroblast. And these wavy lines, that's collagen. What else you got going on? This is elastic connective tissue. So elastic connective tissue, you'll find this in the wall of your large arteries. So with your arterial blood, as it kind of pulsates through your arteries, they stretch. So elastic connective tissue. Then we have reticular. We're going to find that in the lymph node. So you look here, see these little black lines right there? It's reticular fibers. Or you look over here, see these little black lines? Reticular fibers. See these little speckles? These are actually known as a lymphocyte, the smaller guys. The bigger ones are a macrophage, and very important for an immune response. So you see these black little fibers in here with all the cells kind of in between. So that is reticular. And then you have your cartilage. With your cartilage, you're going to have 3 types of cartilage. You're going to have elastic. What's the other 2? Come on. What's the other one? Starts with H. Hyaline. One more. Come on. Makes up your menisci of your knee and intervertebral disc. What's that called? Come on. Fibro something. Fibrocartilage. There you go. So as you look at this, what do you got in there? You have a cartilaginous cell. What's a cartilaginous cell called? Come on. Chondrocyte. There you go. What's the little chamber it's held in? What's that called? The lacuna. There you go. All right. And then see these little fibers in between? That's elastic fibers. Where do you find elastic cartilage? Where do you find it? Makes up your ear. What's that flap that protects your airway? What's that called? Come on. Made up of elastic cartilage. Your epiglottis. Then fibrocartilage. Now, did you know, I don't know if you heard me say this or not, that anatomy and physiology is study of structure but yet function. Well, you look at this. Look at, there's your chondrocyte. There's little chambers and lacuna. But see, all these blue wavy lines, that's collagen. So it's got to be really strong stuff. So you'll find it in the meniscus of your knee, sitting on top of your shin bone, where your shin bone actually meets your thigh bone. Hyaline cartilage. Hyaline cartilage, remember, this is kind of like the most common cartilage found in the human body. Where do you find this? Rings of your trachea, but also find it within your joints. It's called articular cartilage. Once again, you got this thing called a chondromucoprotein, a matrix in between. And then, see the little cartilaginous cells? What were the name of the cartilaginous cells? What were they? Come on. Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? Anybody? Chondrocytes. What's the name of the chamber they're stored in? Lacuna. There we are. Then we have, it's not really connective tissue, then we have a neuron, don't we? These are real easy to figure out. Look at star-shaped cell. But with a neuron, what's these other extra little bitty cells here? Remember what they were called? Come on. What are these little cells called? Neuroglial cells. Glial cells that actually support the neurons. So big star-shaped cell for conducting impulses. Then we have your muscle. Name me the 3 types of muscle. Come on, there's one right there. Cardiac. What's the other 2? Come on, lift the weights with it. Anybody? Come on. Skeletal. There you go. What's the one you find in hollow internal organs? What's it called? Smooth muscle. As you look at this, you got the striations, the stripes going across. But see this little line going across? That's called the intercalated disc. See these lines cutting across? So don't mix those up. These are striations. The lines are the intercalated disc. What's these black things? That's the nuclei. So this is kind of a funky looking thing. They branch all over the place, don't they? But that intercalated disc allows the transfer of ions from one cardiac muscle cell to the other. So the heart beats as one smooth unit. So once again, intercalated disc, and there's the nuclei. Then we have skeletal muscle. It's also known as skeletal muscle fiber. Here's the stripes cutting across striation. You're actually seeing the proteins that make up that particular tissue. It's called actin and myosin. See these little black speckles? And the little black speckles are what? Those are the nuclei. There you go. And then you have smooth muscle. Here it is. Spindle-shaped cell. Central nucleus. They don't have any striations. And you're going to find that within the walls of hollow internal organs. Here's another one over here. Smooth muscle T's kind of pulled apart. And actually, see the little spindle-shaped cells over here? There they are, kind of pulled apart.